Hey everybody, and welcome to this video. This is going to be a full face of Flower Beauty video, and I'm super excited just because I was really excited to try a lot of products from them. This is one of those brands that I kind of had a couple of things here and there in my collection, but I didn't really have like a lot of products. Like I have a lot of NYX and a lot of e.l.f. and a lot of ColourPop, but as far as Flower Beauty, I had like one or two things here and there from each category, so, or not even all the categories honestly. So I'm really excited to try out all of the products and show you guys how they wear on my skin. So if you've been interested in Flower Beauty and haven't tried it out, or there are certain things that you've been eyeing but kind of are a little iffy about, I think this is a great video for you guys to kind of see them in action and see if you guys even want to try them out for yourselves. So this is my second time filming this video. The first time went super terrible once we got to the complexion, so I am retrying it and kind of giving you more opinions. So there are a couple of things that I took out, but I'll talk about it in the video, and I'll show you the clips from the first time I filmed and tell you why I didn't like them and why I would not recommend them. And then there are some things that I tried out for the first time before, and I kind of have gotten an idea of if I like it or if I don't. So I feel like it's kind of like a review and a first impressions together. So some things are reviews, some things are first impressions, and I think it's going to be a really fun time. So if you guys are interested in this video, then just go ahead and keep on watching. Alright, so we're going to start off by priming our face, and so I like to kind of do a primer water and then my primer on top of that. So they don't really have like a priming water, but they do have a setting spray. This is the Seal the Deal Long Lasting Setting Spray. So I'm just going to kind of use this as a primer, and I've had this in the past and I ended up returning it just because I didn't like the product itself. I don't know if it was just that one itself, but I just remember it just didn't feel like I was really getting much product out. It was like such a fine mist, and so I don't know if it was that one, but we're going to try it again today and see if it's just the packaging or if I just had like a bust of a product. Yeah, like it's the same thing. It has like a little bit of a scent, nothing super strong. It's just that it's such a fine mist. I feel like it kind of reminds me of the Morphe Continuous Setting Spray, except it's like a pump spray. So it's like you don't get, I feel like if it was like the continuous mist like the Morphe one, it would be a lot better because it could kind of build up. This, like by the time you spray more out, the other one's kind of already soaked in. Like I don't know, I just feel like I'm not getting enough product. I don't know, but I mean you can see my face does have like a wetness to it. Like you can feel it's just like such a fine mist. I don't know, it's not my favorite setting spray honestly. Then I'm gonna prime with the In Your Prime Pore Minimizing Primer, and I used this before in the first time that I did this video, and that was my first time trying it, and I like it. It's a very smoothing primer. I just don't think it really does a lot of like pore minimizing. So in that sense, I don't see much. But it does like smooth out my face and make it feel nice and smooth. So the first time I filmed this video, I tried out their felt tip marker eyebrow pencil thing, and I did not like it. The color was completely off. It was like super red, and it just was not for me. So I actually went back and I did see this. They have the eyebrow pencil, and so I got it in the dark brunette shade. I didn't see this the first time that I went, so I don't know if they just restocked or what, but I'm excited to try this out because the first product I wasn't feeling it, you know. So let's see. Okay. So far, not bad. So it's not super creamy, but it's not super thick either. It kind of reminds me of the ColourPop Brow Boss, like that kind of consistency. The color is really nice, and I like that it's not too thick, but it's not too thin either. It's kind of like right in between the Anastasia Brow Definer and the Brow Wiz. So it's like a little bit thicker than the Brow Wiz, but it's not as thick as the definer. I really like it. So these are what the eyebrows look like all done with that eyebrow pencil, and I really like it. I think the formula is really nice. It's not super duper creamy to the point where it's like gonna slide all over the place, but it's also not too thick and like harsh or hard where you feel like you're like scraping your brow to get any product off. I think it's a really good in between, as well as the size of the pencil as well. It's kind of like a medium thickness micro brow pencil from NYX or like the Anastasia Brow Wiz. It's just a little bit thicker, so it's not super thin to the point where it's gonna take you a while to kind of draw it in. It makes it fast for you if you're filling it all the way in, but also you kind of have that definition that you can do the outer part. So I think it's like a perfect in between. I really like this brow pencil, and I definitely think that I'm gonna keep on using it. So I didn't see any eyebrow gel from them, so I'm just gonna go in with my Catrice eyebrow filler and then clean up my eyebrows using the Light Illusion concealer, and then we'll be right back to get into the rest of the eyes. Alright, so I'm back, and I already did prime my eyes, and I just used the NYX Lid Lingerie Matte Eyeshadow Primer because there wasn't an eyeshadow primer from Flower Beauty, and I need a little bit more security because my eyelids are getting a little bit more oily, as they tend to do towards the spring and the summer. So using just a concealer isn't enough for me these days. So you could totally go in with a concealer if your eyelids aren't that oily, but for me personally, I just need a more mattifying eyelid primer just to kind of keep my oils at bay. So do whatever you usually do for your eyeshadow primers and then keep it moving. So now we're gonna go into the eyes, and I'm super excited because this is an eyeshadow palette that I just recently got, but I am so in love with it. It is their Suns Blazing palette, and it is super it just screams summer to me. Like, these shades are just summer to the fullest. So this is what the eyeshadow palette looks like, and it does come with a brush that's supposedly a $6 value. Personally, I would prefer for them just to like lower the price by $6 and keep the brush and just put one of those like sponge applicators that you kind of toss away, just because I feel like a lot of people already have like brushes in their collection, and I mean, I could get some use out of it, but I would prefer just to have like just the shadows and not the brush that kind of hikes up the price than having a brush that I might not get that much use out of. But that's just personally my preference, and yeah. So I'm going to start by going in with this shade right here. It's more of like a burnt orange shade, and I'm just going to put that into my crease. Alright, so now I'm going to go in with this more like brick kind of shade right here, and then just pop that in my crease right under where we just put that burnt orange shade. Now I'm going to go in with this shade right here, which is a more kind of like deep purplyish brown shade, and pop that right in the outer corner just for a little bit of definition. And I'm not taking it all the way up into the crease. I'm kind of just focusing it right here in the outer corner, and then I'm going to blend it out. I'm going to go back in with that brush that we just used the previous color with without adding any more, and just using that to blend out in the crease. You can just keep adding and blending until you get your desired depth. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a super fluffy brush and go into that yellow shade, and then kind of run that through the top of the crease right up there. So you can see the difference. It just added a little bit of warmth to the look and light to the look, so it kind of looks more like sunsetty on this eye with that yellow right here at the top of the crease, whereas over here it's kind of a little bit deeper and darker. So I mean, you could totally leave it there if you wanted. I just kind of wanted a little bit more warmth through that crease. Now on the lid, I'm going to take this shade right here, which is a super kind of rosy copper color. It's super gorgeous. and I'm just gonna pop that right on the lid space. So this is a super pretty color on its own, but I'm actually just going to spritz it with a little bit of setting spray or water or whatever you have on hand. And I'm just going to use that to kind of foil the shadow and make it pop a little bit more. So if you can see the difference between this one and that one, it just looks like a little bit more shiny and like stands out a little bit more. As opposed to this one, it just kind of looks like dull and like not that great. Not as good as this one, you know? Alright, then I'm going to take this bone color shade right here and then just run that right under my brow bone to help blend everything out and kind of bring that shadow down. So here you could go in with an eyeliner. I'm just going to skip eyeliner for today just because their eyeliner, I tried it in the first time that I attempted this video and it was just not good at all. Like, it was super black and matte, but it started crumbling within minutes. So I think that I would just save my money and use a different eyeliner from the drugstore. I wouldn't even go towards the Flower Beauty one. I think that they definitely need to work on their formula as far as their liquid eyeliner. So I'm just going to skip that and kind of save you the trouble of even having to witness it and me having to deal with it. So I'm just going to go ahead and prep my lashes really quickly, and then we're going to come back and curl our lashes so that you can see their mascara in action. So I'll be right back. Alright, so while my lash glue dries, we're just going to go ahead and move on to the mascara, and I'm going to be using the Lash Warrior mascara today. So I'm just going to do one lash at a time just so you can kind of see the difference with and without the mascara. So this is one coat of the Lash Warrior mascara. Honestly, it's not like my favorite mascara ever. It does very much separate your lashes, but I don't think I get a lot of length or volume from it. It just kind of separates them. So it's more of a very natural kind of effect. So I think if you're having very minimal eye makeup, this might be good for like an everyday kind of mascara. If you don't wear a lot of eye makeup on the daily, like if you just do like a bronzer in the crease and like a highlight in the inner corner, which is what I tend to do, I think I would kind of use this mascara to kind of keep it a little bit more on the wearable side or like more natural side. But as far as like for this kind of makeup look, like I wouldn't use this kind of mascara if I wasn't using falsies. So, you know, use your own judgment. So I'm just going to go in with the second coat, and then I also like to recurl my lashes afterwards just because I want to see if this mascara can build up. It kind of has a little bit more of a drier formula as opposed to like a waterier formula. So I just want to see if it can build up and like how it builds up on itself, and what it looks like after I recurl my lashes at the end. So this is what the mascara looks like after 2 coats. I think it definitely looks a lot better after 2 coats. It really built upon itself. It almost got a little bit clumpy, but not super clumpy like spider lashes. It just gave it a little bit of extra clump to the point where it kind of gives you some volume. And after the second coat, I kind of really liked the mascara. I kind of changed my opinion of the mascara. As opposed to one coat, it was like super natural. The second coat kind of gives it a little bit more drama. So I'm just going to go ahead and do my other eye and pop on my falsies, and then we'll be right back to do the face. Alright, so this is what the makeup looks like with my lashes on, and I just used the Kiss number 11 lashes just for a little bit of drama, but nothing too over the top since I am going into work after this. So yeah, let's go ahead and just move on to the face. Now I am going to be using a different foundation than I tried out in the first one just because it was a disaster the first time. It completely just ruined my mood for the video, and I just couldn't. So the first time I did try out their stick foundation, and the color was just completely off. I looked like a ghost. I literally looked like I was dead. I got the color, I think it was like natural tanner. It was something with tan in the name, so I was not expecting it to be so pale for a tanner shade. I'll put video right here so you can kind of see me applying it. It just looks completely wrong and completely off, and I just did not like the foundation stick itself. Even besides the color, it just did not have a lot of coverage. So I did go ahead and pick up their Light Illusion foundation. I do remember trying this in the past, and I think I don't have it anymore in my collection, so I don't think I really liked it, but I can't really remember my thoughts on it, so I'm just gonna go ahead and retry it today and see how I like it. So I got mine in the shade Sable D1. So there was one that was a little bit lighter than this that looked more yellow toned, but I feel like this was just a little bit deeper, even though it looks more like peachy. I just feel like this would be like a little bit more of a better fit. Packaging for this product is super pretty. I really like the bottle. It's super, like, it's heavy. It feels like really nice, sturdy packaging. It is a glass bottle and a plastic cap, and yeah, and you get 1 fluid ounce, which is like the typical amount. So let's go ahead. Oh, and so it is a pump. I thought it was one of those where it's going to be poured out, but no, you just pop it right up and it is a pump, which is very, very convenient. Alright, so I'm just going to do one side with the sponge, and I do have the Flower Beauty sponge. I did already have this in my collection, but I haven't used it in a long time. It was like at the back of my like sponge pile, so I don't really remember if I liked it or not, but I would probably say I didn't really, just from the placement. But yeah, so yeah, this is definitely a little bit dark and super peachy. But that aside, it does have, I would say, like more of a medium coverage just off the bat. With a sponge. It looks almost orange, but we can kind of fix that with concealing and all that. So I'm not really worried about the color too much right now. But yeah, this is what it looks like. It looks like a very nice medium kind of coverage. I could use a little bit more coverage like right here, but off of first, you know, impression, or second first impression, I don't know, first impression after a while, it's not too bad. It's not like super dewy to the point. I thought it was gonna be like super dewy and just like, I don't know, I don't know what I was expecting, but I don't know. I think I was expecting it to be like a super watery kind of light consistency and not very much coverage, so I am pleasantly surprised from using that. The sponge itself, their sponge is super bouncy, like really, really soft, but not to the point where it's not like bad. There are some that are just way too soft to the point like it's not even really that usable. This one, I would still use it. I'm just used to a little bit more of a firmer sponge, but it's not terrible. It's not bad at all. So I'm just gonna add a little bit more coverage on my cheek where I feel like I need a little bit of extra coverage. Alright, so my battery died, but I just went ahead and just added a little bit more coverage. I did like maybe half a pump and just added it in areas where I felt like I needed a little bit more coverage. So my thoughts so far is it's just a little bit more dewy than I would prefer, but I feel like once I set it with powder and all that, it shouldn't be a problem. The color is definitely off, but like I said, that to me can be like fixed. So I'm not super worried about that. So far I'm not like in love with the product, but I'm not like hating it either. So we'll see how it is towards the end of this. So now I'm just going to go in with the Light Illusion concealer, and this one is in the shade Light Medium, and I did already have this in my collection. I definitely would say I did not reach for a lot, but it wasn't where to the point where I didn't like it enough where I felt like, okay, I'm gonna like return it, which if you can tell, I do that often. I'm not one to kind of keep a makeup that I don't see me using, because I could just spend that money on something that might be like amazing and I'll use all the time. So I have no shame in like trying something out, and if I don't like it, returning it. Yeah, this is a super light color, but I think it's going to be really nice for balancing out. I'm actually even going to take a little bit, I don't usually do this, I'm just going to take some like right down here and kind of do the opposite of like regular contouring. Alright, so now I'm going to go ahead and use their Powder Up Loose Powder. This is again another thing that I already had in my collection, just because I remember back in the day Casey Holmes used to be obsessed with this powder, and if Casey Holmes loves it, I've got to try it. So I did have it in my collection. This one is in the shade 01. Yeah, just shade 01. And she used to be obsessed with it, so I had it in my collection, but I think I just couldn't find a shade that like worked for me. But it is a really nice powder. It's like super smoothing and super fine, and just like, wow, I just went over my eyelid with that. That's weird. Alright, so this is what the foundation looks like. I think it looks a lot better set with powder. I'm just more of a matte foundation type of person. I'm not one for a more dewy foundation. And of course, this is the Light Illusion foundation, so it's supposed to be a little bit more on the like reflective side. But yeah, that powder is really, really good. It's super finely milled and super smoothing. I think it's so nice. I just wish that it came in like a translucent color, because both of the shades that they have are like tinted, and they're kind of more like of a darkish kind of peachy tint, where I wish it was more of a like translucent shade, just so it would be a little bit more universal. But you know, it's not terrible, it's just not my favorite or like my cup of tea. But yeah, so now we're gonna move on, and I have this Lift and Sculpt palette in medium to deep that I purposely got like for this video, just because it is a 3-in-1 product, so I didn't have to purchase like a blush, a highlight, and a bronzer. And also, this is like the only bronzer really that they have in their collection that's more matte. They had 2 like shimmery bronzers, but neither of those really appealed to me, so I figured this would be really nice because it's a 3-in-1. Although I think I am going to be using a different blush that I already had in my collection from Flower Beauty. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in with the bronzer shade. Hopefully it shows up. Oh yeah, oh wow, it definitely showed up. Okay, I'm gonna use this to just bronze up my skin. I'm actually just going to switch to a more fluffy brush. I'm going to take that powder and kind of use that to carve out underneath where we bronzed. Now for blush, I'm going to take this Flower Pots powder blush in the shade Peach Primrose, and this is one of my favorite blushes. I kind of just rediscovered it after filming this video. I've had it for a while, and I remember when I first got it, I used it like all the time. It's such a beautiful like peachy blush. I really like it. So I'm happy, like since I filmed that first video, I've been like reaching for it and using it again. It's so nice. It's like just a natural kind of peachy shade. You can see, so pretty. Now I'm gonna go back into that trio and use the highlighter from it, and it's just more of like a light white kind of gold shade. I usually go for more of like gold shades or bronzy gold shades, but for the sake of the video, let's do it. So I'm just gonna tap my brush. Ooh, it's very pigmented. Very pigmented. Literally that one tab did like my whole face. Let me kind of blend this out. Now I'm just going to go in and set I think it's way too fine of a mist for a setting spray. In my opinion, I would prefer like it smells good though. It smells like, I don't know, it reminds me of something, but I can't like place the scent. It's weird, but it does smell good. It is a nice smelling setting spray, but honestly I would reach for other ones over it just because it's way too fine of a mist. It's not like my taste. I like to really like soak my skin, you know? And I feel like this, like I wouldn't be able to get to that point, you know? I feel like it doesn't really melt the products into your skin like if you had a less fine of a mist. Now I'm going to go in with the Forever Wear Long Lasting Eyeliner in Onyx. These liners actually, where's the brownstone one? Which is like a brown version. These liners are very nice, very creamy, very pigmented. These are very, very like worth the money. Very much worth the money. Like you see, I just did like one swipe back and forth, and it's there. I didn't have to really work at it. Super creamy, super pigmented. A1 for the liners. Okay, so now I'm just gonna go back and do my under eye really quickly. Alright, so this is the part that I was a little bit worried about just because I did get a liquid lipstick and I used it in the last video and it was completely terrible for my skin tone. So I did end up returning that, and I do have two lipsticks that I've had in my collection and I've never really reached for, but they are more on the pinker side, so it's probably not really gonna match. But to keep up with the full face theme, I am just gonna go ahead and use one of them. But I'm gonna start off by using the ColourPop lip liner in BFF3. Then I'm just going to go ahead and top that with their lipstick in Naked Blush. I think putting that brown liner underneath definitely made it a little bit more wearable in my book, just because I don't like super pinky tone, so I think having that kind of brown tone under it made it really nice. For what I had to work with, I am not mad at this at all. So this is how the makeup look turned out. Honestly, I'm very pleasantly surprised, especially because the first time I tried filming this video, it was a disaster once I got to the face products. So I am very much happy that I got a foundation that matched me a little bit better, even though it's not my shade at all. I think if I added a little bit of that yellow pigment from LA Girl, I could definitely make it work. If I had to choose top 3 products that I would recommend for you to purchase, I would definitely say that their eyeshadow palettes are so good. This isn't the first one that I've tried. I have other ones in my collection. This one I just really had to buy just because, oh my gosh, like look at those shades. It just screams summer to me, and I really do like their formula and their eyeshadows in general, so I definitely think you can't go wrong by purchasing their eyeshadows. They're really nice. And yeah, the second thing that I would recommend purchasing is their pencil liners. They're really creamy, they just are super pigmented, and I just really like them. I think that they're very good option for the drugstore. I don't think they're that expensive either. I think they're at least $5 or less. So they're a good option for drugstore eyeliners if you are looking for one. And then the last thing that I would recommend, and this is one that I just tried out for the first day today, but I already know that I really like the product, and that is the Eyebrow Pencil. I just really like that it was like the perfect in between of a super thin kind of like detail pencil and a more definer pencil, so you can kind of get the best of both worlds. And then the formulation is really good. It's not too creamy and it's not too stiff, so it's like the perfect in between. So honestly, I think it was just like such a good pencil, and I definitely see myself continuing to use that product. So now I'm gonna go ahead and just go about my day, and then I'll come back at the end of the day to show you how all of the products lasted and give you my final thoughts. So I'll see you guys really soon. Oh yeah, and the time is 1:32, so we can kind of just see at the end of the day how it lasted. I'll probably come like around 7:30ish and do a check-in before I go to the gym, and it's completely ruined. So yeah, I'll see you in a minute. Alright, so the time is now 9:55. So as you can see, it's been about 8.5 hours. I meant to do a check-in a little bit earlier right before I went to my workout class, but I was running late and I just had to change and go. I did do a quick clip, but I didn't really talk or anything like that, so I'll insert that here so you can kind of see how the makeup was, but the lighting wasn't all that great and it was just like really rushed, but at least you can kind of see the makeup, and that was right around like 7:45ish. And so this is what the makeup looks like now, and this is after I did a full-on cardio workout class. So I do Kazakhstan, which is kind of like Zumba but a little bit more like twerky. So I was definitely sweating. I had my sweatband on and it was like super intense cardio, so I definitely was sweating, but my makeup lasted really well. And I also will say that I got a lot of compliments on my makeup today. Like a lot of the people that came into my work complimented me, people that see every day, like my coworker's cousin complimented my makeup, and like she sees me like pretty much every day, and she was like, oh, I really like your makeup. So I think that this, I would say, was a definite thumbs up. I know when other people compliment your makeup, that's when you know like, okay, like this is some good makeup. So yeah, the only thing I will say is I think that the shadows kind of did fade a little bit throughout the day. They're still there, they're still pretty, but you know, the different variations of color, they kind of like blended in together and kind of faded off. So that's one thing that I am seeing. The makeup, like the foundation, doesn't look super duper oily. Like I said, I was sweating, so it is a little bit oily, but nothing super crazy, which I'm really surprised at because I feel like it's supposed to be more of like a dewier foundation, but I maybe like that powder really locked it in. The bronzer, honestly, you can barely see it. I feel like it faded a lot on this side, which I don't know why. I feel like a lot of my makeup fades on this side, whereas this side it kind of stays. I don't know what that's about, but it definitely did fade. The blush faded as well, so kind of like my face makeup, as of like my cheek makeup, faded a lot. The highlight still there, but not as, you know, intense as it was earlier. But overall, for 8.5 hours of wear, I think that this still looks really good, and I stand by all of my opinions on the products earlier. I think I might change my opinion on the foundation, just because of the way that it lasted. I wasn't expecting it to be so good. So I feel like I would say if you've been looking at the foundation, even if you have like oily combination skin, I would still give it a try and give it a go, because I was pleasantly surprised with how it lasted and how it looks. So yeah, but other than that, all of my other things kind of stand where I felt like what products I definitely would try, products that were kind of like okay, and then products I would say stay away from. All of those still stand true. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it. Definitely subscribe for more, because I do have some other full faces coming soon. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.